Baltimore City Council Ways and Means Committee back for ordinance 24-0521, ordinance of estimates for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025. Eric Costello, councilman from the 11th District, chair of the committee, joined by Odette Ramos, 14th District. To my immediate right, Marguerite, current staff to the committee, joined by members of the mayor's office and the council president's office. We are here for MOED, Mayor's Office of Employment Development, Director Matt Garvin. Director, if you could introduce first and last name and position title of each of the members of your senior team that are here today, and then jump into your presentation. How much time do you anticipate needing for your presentation?
Not very much time. I'm going to breeze through it. 10 minutes. 10
minutes sounds good.
Yes.
Perfect. Take it away.
I'm going to let them say their names. Is that okay if they say their names and title?
Sure is.
Good morning. Craig Lewis, Assistant Director, Chief of Adult Services.
Good morning. Donnice Brown, Assistant Director, Chief of Youth Services.
Good morning. Patty Morphy, the Director of Performance and Planning.
Good morning. Assistant Director, Chief Financial Officer, David Hagans.
Okay. Good morning again. My name is Matt Garvin, and I am officially Director of the Mayor's Office of Employment Development. Like I said, I will go very quickly through my presentation. When I was here last year, Councilman Stokes actually commended me for how quickly I went through, and I'm an athlete, so I'm gonna try to match or beat that.
Let's make it 2 years in a row.
The longest time I'm probably gonna spend is on just this opening, the first slides, just to set the tone. First of all, like I said, I'm the director of the agency officially now, and this is actually my third time being in front of this body giving this presentation, and I'm looking forward to next year. Not that I'm wishing away this illustrious occasion of being together this year, but next year when I can be the director for a full year and have a full fiscal year where I am in the lead of the agency. And then also, I wanted to uplift a personal story because I think there's not enough spoken about the positive things in terms of people that work in Baltimore City or work for Baltimore City or executive leadership. And I started in the city in 2012 as a special assistant in economic development. I left my job as an attorney. Calliope Parthimos gave me my first opportunity, and she was very intentional about making sure that I was exposed to a lot of different important meetings and projects. And one of those things that she did was assign me to the Mayor's Office of Employment Development. And through that assignment, I met another incredible woman, and her name is Karen Sitnick. And Karen Sitnick really just welcomed me with open arms, and she embedded me in so many projects, and she really was the person that helped me, and also folks here, to develop my skills and my interest in workforce development. And I don't know if you know Karen Sitnick, but she's this really petite woman, but she has this amazing way of just like filling up an entire room with her grace and her presence and leading in a really strong way, and that always resonated with me and helps me to want to work in workforce development. So cut to today, I actually sit in Karen Sitnick's office at her same desk. And so that is not something that's lost on me. Those incredible women, Jason, there are so many people at the city of Baltimore that have led me on the career path for me to be able to sit in front of you today. And I just wanted to uplift that positive personal story for myself and express my gratitude for Baltimore City and all of the people that have helped me to bring me to this point in my career. The other thing I wanted to say on the first slide, I just wanted to emphasize MOED's mission. This is really, really core to who we are. We are an economic justice agency, and we believe in equity. Not just me or the people sitting here in the room, but everybody at MOED, from the people that work on the contracts, to the fiscal team, to the front-facing people. We believe in economic justice, and that is how we lead our work. We know that the labor market is not like it's in textbooks. It's not equitable. And so that is why we're involved in so many projects and interventions, whether it's someone who wants to get connected to a job right away. I know Donnice and I both sit on national boards where we advocate for policy. Some people need transitional jobs. Some people need occupational training. Some people need to be able to eliminate some of those barriers, or a combination of all of these things, because it's about equity. It's about giving people the degree of what they need in order for everyone to achieve the same outcome, which is a connection to a dignified or meaningful career opportunity and a chance for a hopeful future. And so just wanted to set the tone with that and then get started on the presentation. Next slide. So first slide, Service 791. This is funding to support our Youth Opportunity Center. This is located, our Yo Academy, I'm sorry, that's located at our Youth Opportunity Center. The important thing to remember about this is that there isn't any city funding involved. This is a contract that we have with Baltimore City Public Schools. And the output here is really the input. We can only serve those who are referred to us. And if you look at the percentage of the students enrolled in a transition plan is college, military, occupational training, 100%. That's as good as you can get. Next slide. This is Service 792. This is funding to support workforce public assistance. This supports our Workforce Reception Center. We also call it the WRC. It's located on 23rd in Maryland. So similar to the last slide, there isn't any city funding involved here. This is an agreement that we enter into with DHS to serve individuals who are on temporary cash assistance. So the center is not open to the public, it's only for people on TCA. So the last several years, because of the pandemic, there was more flexibility for individuals on TCA in terms of what their requirements were to be able to access the funds. And so the referrals have been less than what they've been in the past. Again, we can only work with those who are referred to us. For FY2025, however, we've been in conversations with DSS through DHS about being the sole vendor for TANF. And it will also allow us to expand the model. So we'll be doing what we call a 2-gen model. So we'll be able to serve the TCA head of household, the non-custodial parent, and also justice-involved youth. So we'll see that coming in the future. So that number of folks we can serve with this pot of funds will grow. The next slide, 793. This is funding to support our community job hubs and also some of our 21st century workforce services. So our community job hub model is such that we partner with a community-based organization, an organization that has a reputation in the community, they have a relationship with folks, there's good traffic coming in. We embed a MOED staff person at the location, and we're able to leverage those people that are coming in to be able to offer them services. During this time period, we had 3 of what I call our legacy hubs that were up and running. So My Brother's Keeper, Bon Secours, and GetCo. And then for the prior fiscal year, at the very end, we added on 2 others, Waverly and also Our Daily Bread. During this period, I think GetCo closed for a period of time. Again, Our Daily Bread and Waverly were just starting, and we had some staffing sort of issues. If you look at the actual number for the goal of last year, I believe it was 500. So we're not off from FY22. It jumped up in FY23. But I will say for FY24 coming up, we're fully staffed. We have a new director of strategic initiatives, and we already know for that first measure, it's more than doubled in terms of individuals who are visiting the hub. So that's already increasing. And then in terms of individuals who attain job placements through adult career centers, it's pretty close to the goal. I also want to keep in mind, and I've said this in previous years, since the pandemic, some of the ways that our customers want to receive services are different. They want to receive services digitally. During the pandemic, we started the Employee Baltimore show. That's about 4 times a week where we have employers come on to that show. That gets between 1,500, 2,000 views every single show. And so people are able to access jobs. They can apply right to the jobs, or they can work with a digital service BSR, but that's not always captured here in this number. The next is just administration, so I'm going to speed through that. The next is 795. This funding supports our 2 comprehensive American Job Centers, or one-stop centers. We have one east side on Madison, and then we have one on the west side, northwest at Mondawmin Mall. The first figure that you see, it's a combination of us and also a partnership that we have with the Department of Labor. This is a number really that you don't want it to jump too high, because that would mean that a lot of people are on UI, unemployment insurance. So That's why you can see in FY20 that number spiked really high because there were so many people in UI. But you can see in FY23 it's starting to come back to sort of its normal levels and really aligns with targets in future years. In terms of the number of job seekers who commence service delivery, that goal was met, but this is also a goal that is set by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Next slide. 796, this is workforce services for our returning citizens. This is funding to support our reentry center. We also call it the REC. It's located inside our Northwest Career Center at Manzaman Mall. This supports individuals who are involved in the criminal justice system. And if you look at the actuals for both of these measures, almost exactly what the target is. And I just want to uplift the folks at the REC, our staff there. When we talk about these measures, we're talking about actual people who receive services, actual people who are involved in the criminal justice system who receive jobs. And so it's a tremendous amount of effort and dedication that our team does to work with this population. So I'm really proud of them for this, meeting these goals. Next, 797. This is funding to support our Youth Opportunity Centers. The Youth Opportunity Center serves out of school, out of work, ages 18 to 24. There's a center on the east side and there's a center on the west side. The east side center, we contract out with HEBCAC. The west side center, we operate ourselves. And I said this in previous years, you know, we decided to make a big change to YO. We got a new manager, we got all new staff members because we wanted YO to evolve with how young people are evolving. And anytime you make a big operational change like that, we know that it's gonna take a hit sometimes to the outcomes. However, we know a short-term hit is gonna have longer-term benefits. And again, we can already see for this fiscal year that we're in, this number has increased by more than 200. And so we anticipate that number going even up as you know, the new staff gets more stabilized and the new manager continues to get more acclimated. Again, in terms of the participants connected to occupational training, pretty close to the goal. Next slide. Ooh, I think we skipped one. YouthWorks, is it out of order?
I think the deck's out of order.
The deck's out of order? Okay, so it's out of order for mine, but which one are we on up here? Okay, so this, YouthWorks is the next slide on mine. Is it the last slide here?
I think so.
Okay, that's fine. So
There's
I'll go to
798.
YouthWorks first and then. So next is 798. This supports our summer jobs program. I think everyone's familiar with YouthWorks. It's a really big program. It's 5 weeks for young people ages 14 to 21. This year, the program is going to run from July 8th to August 9th, I believe, right, Donnie?
Yes.
Yep. And so, as you can see, the pandemic, we were one of the few jurisdictions in the country to still offer YouthWorks, and we had a virtual program, and each year it keeps climbing up. The year we're talking about here, FY23, would have been the summer of 2022, so you continue to see climbing. Last year, we were actually able to offer 8,000 jobs to young people, and about 7,000 accepted, and we will, at the minimum, be able to offer that amount this year, and likely many more. And in terms of the figure you see for the second performance measure, YouthWorks is something that employers really, really value. Then the last slide, this is funding that we receive from the federal government through the primary law for funding workforce development activities across the country, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. This is funding for community organizations to be able to offer occupational skills training. So we put out an RFP to WIOA youth providers, and they respond to the RFP. In terms of the participants served, again, relatively close to the target. And then also this number, 58% in terms of occupational skills gain, measurable skills gain. Met that goal, but also this is a goal that's set by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And that is all my slides. Hopefully I beat my time last time.
Great job. Excellent work by you and your team, Mac. Appreciate the incredible responsiveness. Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Also, great work, and I'm glad that you're official so that you can really carry out your vision in the way that you want, and I know that you'll do great. So just let us know what you need. I have a couple of questions. One is that on Service 796, that is working with returning citizens. So can you tell me the work that your office is doing with MONSE and also the new agency that we just created, the Office of Returning Citizens? And I would just want to make sure that there's a lot of coordination there, which I would imagine there is.
Yes, there is coordination there, and I'll let Craig add on to that as well. But there are a couple initiatives that we're working with MONSE with. One is we participate with them on the Reentry Council. We also work with them on the Behind the Wall initiative, and we're also working with them. We had a very successful transitional jobs program that really started at the beginning of the pandemic with the Baltimore Health Corps, and then we were able to have learnings from that and create Higher Up. And then MONSE now also has some funding for transitional jobs through ARPA, and we are going to be using that same model, same staff of MOED, but also working with individuals that come through MONSE. So those are just a couple of examples of how we are working with MONSE. And so I'll turn it over to Craig to see if he has anything else that he wants to add.
Sure. Thank you, Director Garvin. I think you pretty much covered some of the things that I was going to talk about. One thing I will mention, we have a new grant. It's called the Quest Grant, and it's quality jobs, equity, strategy training grant, and it's to serve 90 returning citizens. And we're working with MONSE to help recruit individuals for that particular grant. And with that grant, there's occupational skills training in some of the high demand sectors, construction, manufacturing, and there's also a stipend along with that. And so we're working with MONSE to recruit participants for that particular program.
Great. I know that that's a big push of MONSE's, but also we have council members who are, making that a priority as well. So I'm glad that you're also doing that. My second question is, it's my understanding you're getting a new office, new headquarters. Is that right?
Yes, it hasn't officially been made public yet.
Oh, then
so
I won't ask anymore. I'll wait. Okay.
But I am going to be sending something out to offer briefings, and I can talk with you more about that.
Then I will not ask anything else about that. Okay. Well, when we do our briefing, I have questions about that, so we'll go from there. Okay. May I ask another question? The other question I had was about the partnership with city schools. We have CTE schools, Mervo being one of them, and I represent Mervo. And I'm curious about the partnership with MOED and the schools. We'll just use Mervo as an example, to make sure that there are pathways for our young people. There are 29 career pathways at Mervo, and I want to make sure that every one of our students are going right into that pathway. That is not happening now. So I want to figure out what's the partnership with your office and the CTE schools, so that, and if there needs to be some more coordination in that regard.
Yeah, there actually is a partnership. Over the last year, we've been working to implement the third pillar of the blueprint, which is career coaching in schools. So we're actually, we already have a really strong partnership with the school, but through the blueprint legislation, all of the workforce boards are required to partner with the school system and also with the community college in order to implement career coaching in schools. And so all of those career coaches, I think in total will have around, I want to say around 50 will be employed at MOED. We have about half of those folks hired up that worked the last school year. I want to say we had 17 or 18 pilot schools. I think Mervo might have been one. Was Mervo one? Yeah, pilot schools. And the goal of Blueprint is really exactly what you said, is to work with every single middle school student, every single high school student to ensure that no high school student leaves high school without a career plan. And so we've been working with the College and Career Readiness Office, I believe, and then again, BCCC. We also have 2 consultants, EdScale and GPS Ed, that are working to build out the scope and sequence of the model, really with starting in 6th grade, having more a broader level exposure, going down to 11th grade. We're trying to get people connected to CTE programs and career pathways, or if they're interested in occupational training, so that by the time they're ready to leave high school, they have a solid plan. We understand through the blueprint legislation that 45% of all of high school students should be leaving school in a registered apprenticeship or with industry recognized credentials. So that means, you know, going through CTE programs. And so it's a big goal, it's an aspirational goal, but not just us in Baltimore City, but all of the workforce boards across the state are committed to, you know, working with our school systems to help Baltimore City, Maryland, our young people to be able to graduate with these credentials and move on to successful careers.
Is the part of the work to actually make sure that they have a job upon graduation and working with them on doing that? I fear just having a plan isn't going to work. I really want to make sure that our students, for instance, at Mervo, we have the building trades, we have culinary arts, we have hospitality, nursing. I mean, there's just so many opportunities in those careers. And I just want to make sure that we're working with them, and then their next step is actually, you know, being a plumber for a company or working at MedStar or whatever it is, to make sure that that happens.
Yes, part of the plan is making sure, especially, you know, the goal is around registered apprenticeship, which really is a job. You start working and you start earning a wage. And so we want those CTE students to go really start with the student apprenticeship pathway. If they can be in a CTE program, they can be in an apprenticeship program while they're in school to lead them to an opportunity when they get out of school. Really, we want to, when we start in the 6th grade, to help the young people just identify what their interests are so that they can find a career that aligns with their interests. For some young people, that's going to be going to a job right away. For some people, that's going to be going to community college. Some people, military, 4-year school. Some people, it's going to be a job. So the plan is, what are you going to do after school? And if you're in a CTE program, we want to try to get you into that apprenticeship, or if you're ready for a job, get you into a job. We just don't want anyone to become disconnected, because we know when a young person becomes disconnected, their opportunity to earn wages is around $11,000, and we know no one can live on $11,000. So that's our goal.
Yeah, so it sounds like the recommendations that came out in the Fund for Educational Excellence report 5 years ago, I think it was, on CTE is what you're trying to implement. So that's great.
Yes, and through the Governor's Workforce Development Board, the CTE committee just recently put something out about the updated industry recognized credentials. So I think it's sort of a collective push from the entire state to really shift our way of thinking about just having college as the only option for young people. I mean, over the last couple of years, Career Bound was just launched, I think, a couple of weeks ago to continue the work that we've already done with Baltimore's Promise on Grads to Careers, because we were identifying those young people that knew that they weren't going to go to college and helping them get into occupational training. And the data showed, of course, we kept them from being disconnected, and we also helped them to be able to increase their wages over their lifetime. So we are, again, as a system, making that shift to say it's not just about college, it's about registered apprenticeship, it's about CTE and going into a job as well. Those are viable options for our young people.
Thanks. I look forward to following up on more details on Mervo, and I appreciate your work. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all the great work. Please keep it up. We're now in recess until 11 a.m., at which time we'll be doing Office of the Inspector General. I have another meeting to attend to, so Councilman Yitzi Schleifer will be chairing the 11 o'clock. Thank you.